Hey folks, Joel here. Now today's probably one of the most educational videos I've ever done. Have you ever wondered why people who have a heart attack, 70 to 80% never change their lives? Or people who are diagnosed with lung cancer, 70 or 80% never stop smoking? Have you ever wondered why people buy things and they never open the wrapper? Well, it's really centered around why people never take not just action, but massive action towards their business, okay? And there's one holy grail that I learned from Tony Robbins actually of why people don't take action. And it's one word. And that word right here is certainty. If people knew with absolute certainty by taking a certain course or taking a certain action to get their desired outcome, then they would do it. So if I told you to take actions A, B, and C, and you knew without question, with 100% absolute certainty that you would become a multimillionaire, then you would do it. There's no question about it. The problem is most people don't have that certainty where? In their own minds, okay? And that really centers around people's potential, the belief or the potential that they have. When you look at what we're given, everybody has the same physical potential at birth to become very, very wealthy. The problem is people don't believe in it and they don't take action, and it creates a real bad hamster wheel, okay? This is exactly why the rich get richer and the poor get poor, okay? So when you have very little belief in your own potential, and the key word is belief, then what you do is you take very little action, right? If you're kind of uncertain or have very little certainty on a certain step's going to make you a multimillionaire, well, you might try it just a little bit. But what happens is the belief in the potential of you becoming a multimillionaire is little, right? It's very, very low, okay? And because it's low, you take what? You're going to take very little action. Because you're what? You're uncertain of the results, okay? Fear is part of that, but it's a belief system, and we're going to talk about more on how to increase your belief in your potential. But when you take very little action, what happens? Of course, you take very little action, you get very, very few results, right? That's what a lot of people do in network marketing, right? They join up, they talk, they take very, very little action based on their belief in the potential. So what do? They talk to their aunt and they talk to their uncle. Their aunt and their uncle says, no, not interested. So what do? They get diminished results. And what does that do? Unfortunately, is it reinforces their belief. Told you so. I told you that wasn't going to work. You know, people are saying that to themselves in their own mind. So what does that happen? When it reinforces the belief drops even further. And then what happens? Your potential goes down even more. Your potential and your belief of becoming very, very wealthy. You take less and less action. You get less and less results. It reinforces the belief in a negative way. And that's why the poor become poorer. Okay? So the key is, how do you put into your mindset certainty? Well, the first thing that people have to have is what's called a breakthrough, okay? My breakthrough came after about 1.5 years of being online. Believe me, I had the same uncertainty that a lot of people were saying to me, right? I had my parents saying that, Joel, you shouldn't be running an internet business because your education's in cardiac rehab. Other people saying, listen, you don't know anything about it. Other people saying, what, a network marketing business exclusively online? That's ridiculous. And over time, it started to knock me down more and more and more, to where I started to question my own actions that I was taking. But I had a breakthrough, okay? And breakthroughs create momentum, okay? Now that breakthrough for me was to make a $9.97 sale while I was asleep. I remember, to this day, it was where I was the most ecstatic, the most elated, the most excited about my business than I had ever been. And it was only a $9.97 sale. I told my wife about it. I told my friends about it. I was elated. I was excited. And they're like, you're not gonna pay your mortgage with $9.97. Big deal. But to me, it created the necessary breakthrough that I needed in my own mind that what I was doing was working. Now my thought process was, okay, how do I replicate what I did to make that $9.97 sale and replicate it 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, so on and so forth, okay? Now, here's what you need to do if you haven't received or gotten any type of breakthrough. We've got to make that breakthrough happen, because once I had my breakthrough, what did it do? It increased my level of certainty. When I increased my level of certainty on that I was on the right path to becoming financially free and wealthy, what happened? You know, you get rid of these here, and the minute I had a breakthrough in my business, my belief in my potential increased. Because it increased, what did I do? I took bigger and more consistent action. The more action I took, right, what happens here, you guys can see this, the better my results. The better my results became, what happened? The increase I had in the belief that I was going to become very, very wealthy. Because my belief increased, my potential increased, and then what you do is you start creating massive, massive, massive momentum. And now, folks, there's no doubt in my mind that I will become a billionaire one day. It's just the actions that I need to take. And of course, there's other aspects like education and so forth. But where most people stop is right here. They take very little action. So I'm going to repeat it again. They take very little action because of their belief in their potential. Because they take little action, they get little results. Because of their little results, it reinforces their belief that, oh, this just wasn't made for me. Oh, Warren Buffett can do it because he's special, but I can't do it, so on and so forth. So in order to create a breakthrough in your business, what you have to look at, number one, is your why. Is your why strong enough? Why do you want to become financially free? Okay, for me is I just didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to spend more time with my family, and the stronger your why, the more hunger you get towards that. Okay, even though my actions diminished because a year and a half into it, I just wasn't seeing any results or any return on my actions. Things went down, but I still refused to listen to anybody, folks. Everybody, and you guys will identify with this, everybody thought it was a stupid idea on the people that I was surrounded by. The negativity was unbelievable. Now, that's not to say that these people are wrong, okay? They were wrong to me, but let me explain that a little bit more. Is when you start taking advice from people who are not financially free, well, they've got what? They've got the same little belief pattern that you're engaging in with yourself right now. So those people, a belief is what? A belief is something that somebody perceives to be factual, but it's actually not. And what I mean by that, take some guy who invested in the stock market, he lost everything. Well, he's going to tell his friends and his family and everybody else that he knows, certainly don't invest in the stock market because you're going to lose your shirt. Now, on the other same, you can take somebody who's been investing in the stock market and they made millions and even possibly billions of dollars. That individual is going to tell his friends and family and everybody that the only way to get rich is to be in the stock market, right? Now, are any of them actually factual? Well, they're factual to that person based on their belief, right? So when you start asking your friends and your family who are in the same financial position that you are or in a lower financial position, they're going to give you the advice based on their own beliefs, okay? So the first thing to do is you've got to have a very strong why, and that strong why creates massive hunger. I was, from a very young age, very, very hungry to create my own destiny in my life. And I had all these people around me telling me, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And if you want concrete evidence of that, I had built up an okay-sized business up until moving to Texas. The reason I moved to Texas is I wanted to leave all that negativity behind. There were so many people who said to my friends and said to my family, oh, Joel, that's never going to work out there in Texas. He'll be back in 3 weeks. He'll be back in 3 months. Well, that, folks, was almost 7 years ago now. And I'll tell you, I'm not going back. And that was the second time in my life where I became the most joyful, the most elated. First was when I created that breakthrough, that first sale for $9.97. The second time that I felt very elated and very free is when I moved to Texas. Now, I'm not going down on my family. It doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's just that they have a potential, a belief in their own potential that is really much lower than my own, okay? I still talk to my family. I just don't ask their opinions anymore, ever, okay? So, when you have a strong why, it creates a lot of hunger. So now how do you increase your why? And it's gonna sound hokey pokey, but it's something that I do on a daily basis, is I really spend at least 10 to 15 minutes, usually in my waking hours, because you've got different phases in your brain where you've got like alpha and beta phases, different stages of relaxation, where I really visualize what I want. Every single day, I visualize every morning for about, well, I mean, it could go on for a half hour, I'm not really sure, but I really visualize where I want to be next, okay? And that's based on visualizations for myself. I don't ask people's opinions, I just know where I want to go. So I meditate. I just sit there and I think, and I turn off my computer, I make sure my cell phone's off, and I just visualize where I want to go. And then after I do that, I then think about the things that I'm already grateful for. I'm grateful for where my business is today. I'm extremely grateful to have healthy children. I sit there, when you come from a stage of what you don't have versus a stage of what you do have, it really sets your day in motion. And then based on that meditation and really focusing on the things that I'm already grateful for, helps me to take my daily actions. Once I take my daily actions and I repeat this process every day, what it creates is massive momentum. Now, the other way of increasing your why and your own belief potential, and this is so important, and I've said it many, many times before, is to hang around people where you want to be. Just on a subconscious level, it's very empowering. How many of you have gone to an event, you're surrounded by like-minded people, you're excited beyond belief, you go home, you share it with your wife, you share it with your nephew, you share it with your aunt or uncle or with everybody, and they go, oh God, not another one of those home-based business opportunities, is it? Because again, why? They don't have a why. Don't focus on those people. What you should do after those events, and you should be at our next event, by the way, when you're at an event, is refocus on your meditation and recreate your why and focus on only like-minded people. So when you're at an event, meet people that are like-minded like you, and become accountability partners. Even if it's a stranger, the key is to focus on people who are like-minded, and even more so, focus on people who are doing financially better than you are. This sounds kind of shallow, but I rarely, if at all, take advice on my business from people who are not doing better than I am. You know that saying where they say it's lonely at the top? Well, it's sort of true, and it's lonely at the top because as you increase in wealth and you increase in your own success, the amount of people that you can take advice from shrinks, right? It goes like this in a direct pyramid fashion. So it is sort of lonely at the top because of what? Because the people at the very top, the most successful people in the world, have a mindset that's completely different from everybody else. And that's why the rich get richer. They follow something like this, they do their meditation, they see where they want to go, they create their daily actions, and they create momentum. They increase the belief in their own potential, they take more action, they get better results, which reinforces their belief, and they become richer and richer and richer. And it's the same reason why, as I said at the start of this, the poor become poorer and poorer and poorer. So listen. If there's anything that you need to do right now is you need to get to our event in San Antonio, Texas, because surrounding yourself with people who believe in you is going to help you believe in yourself and help you get your steps to the next action in your life. The one thing you don't want to do after an event is start asking people in your family who are not financially better than you to believe in your ideas, because they inherently won't. The last thing I'll say, the one thing that also got me to take massive action, and what was one more breakthrough for me that I forgot to mention, is I used to do the personal training for a billionaire. in Ottawa, Canada. His name was Michael Copeland. He was the CEO of Corel Corporation. And I remember one day, I got the guts up after doing his personal training at his home for about 3 months. I wanted to share my idea of creating a network marketing company online. And this is after everybody in my warm market, my family, my friends, my relatives said, Joel, it's a bad idea. So I went to him and finally I got the guts one day to say, Mike, I got something I want to share with you and I just want your opinion on it. Now this guy lived in a 35,000 square foot home that was white marble from top to bottom, okay? It was hard to ignore the success that this guy had achieved in his life. I said, Mike, I want to start a network marketing business exclusively online to eliminate shipping costs and all that kind of stuff. And he looked at me, he goes, Joel, you're stupid. And I remember my energy going from here to the bottom of the floor. And what seemed like a half hour was probably 10 or 15 seconds. He took a deep breath and he goes, Joel, you're stupid because if you don't take action on that idea right now, I will. And I was completely elated as well. I'm like, okay, I've been trying to get advice from family members who live in an 800 square foot home or 1,100 square foot home. They all think it's a bad idea. And then I talked to this mentor of mine who's doing extremely well, and he tells me it's the best idea in the world. 5 days later, he had me in front of the board of directors at Corel Corporation in a building, and we were on like the 30th floor, massive building, multi-billion-dollar company, pitching my idea to the board of directors. Now, it didn't work out because the board of directors decided against it, but that didn't matter. If this guy felt it was a good idea, it was something that I was going to take action on. And it's really sad that it took somebody like that to take action. But the point I'm trying to make, when you get to events, you surround yourself with like-minded people and people who are doing financially better than you, then that's the people you focus your why, your hunger, your actions, and your momentum on. Don't go home and start talking to everybody else because guess what? 5 years from now, they're going to be in the same position. 10 years from now, they're going to be in the same position, and you're going to slowly come to the top. I guarantee it. So anyway, folks, if you have any questions or comments, please post them here on the blog, and I look forward to seeing every single one of you at our live event in San Antonio on April 24th, 25th, and 26th of this year. Bye for now.